What's wrong with you, bro? What the hell? You tripping, bro. You tripping.
Is that David week again, guys? And welcome everyone, my name is Akib. Back here again to talk about the latest chapter of My Academia, chapter 337. And boy, what an emotional and heartfelt chapter it was. It's been confirmed that Yuga Aoyama, has been a UA trader all this time. And while all that I could say from this chapter is that Aoyama's cover has been blown, mostly out of fault of his parents, since they were in UA, trying to talk to Aoyama to keep following All For One's order. And then from there we see Deku, who realizes what's going on. As soon as they were caught, Aoyama's parents try to flee the scene with Aoyama on hand, which, I mean, come on, you can't unlearn Deku, right? But then Aoyama, while he was thinking about his past and what he's done, falls down in despair, shoots a naval laser beam blast right at Deku, which that itself was pretty reckless of him, despite the situation is right now. And just before it could hit Deku, Hagakure comes in to intercept Aoyama's laser beam shot, which is a given since her body is invisible and she can warp light itself. And then from there, Hagakure goes on to tell Aoyama about how all of them could have died back then during the war arc. And the outcome from that of what's happening across Japan with all this breakthrough and breakouts calls out Aoyama for how dare him to have the nerve to sit in the same classroom of Class 1A. And just as she said that, we get to see Hagakure's face revealed, which couldn't have been done if it weren't for Aoyama's beam, which further adds on Hagakure's emotional speech, given that we see tears flowing out her eyes. We didn't see Aoyama's parents try to stop Deku and Hagakure from getting closer, but of course Deku pulls them down with his black whip, which by doing so stops the commotion from escalating as Deku says to Aoyama with a deafening glare, saying what's end is right now. From there, it doesn't end as we see Aoyama and his parents apprehended and tied to chairs, as we see the police are now involved, and we see Principal Nezu and All Might, with All Might in disbelief of what he's seeing right now, and Principal Nezu to give the students some space so that they could conduct the investigation right now. As we see the whole of Class 1A in disbelief, we see that Todoroki is in denial and Kaminari is in disbelief, and we see Jiro comforting Mina Ashido, who's crying her eyes out. Kirishima asks Aoyama if all this was a big lie. Then we see Ojo holding Hagakure's hands as he questions Aoyama what he was going to do afterwards if Hagakure didn't expose him. From all that, the investigation continues as Aoyama's parents are questioned. Aoyama's father spoke up that Yuga Aoyama did not know what was going on and was simply following their parents' advice to not get caught, and when questioned about their ties with All For One, he explains that they cannot tell a lie or even fail All For One. Doing so, they will be killed by All For One, as All For One said many examples of what will happen if you betray All For One. After that, we see Yuga Aoyama talking to his classmates about a nerve he had for being in the same room and laughing with them as if he was one of them. Then he talks directly to Deku, who was a quirkless person just like him. He tells Deku how guilty he feels, knowing that Deku is fighting All For One with the burden of having the power all one for all. Aoyama realizes when he put his own despair to Deku's burden, he realizes how rotten he was, given that he was backstabbing Deku and the rest of them. Hearing what he had to say, Deku bursts out of what Aoyama said that he was a filthy villain. That back then, why did Aoyama try to save Bakugo and Tokoyami from the League of Villains? As well as during a time when Aoyama sent a cheese word lettering to Deku that he knows his secret, which looking back at it, Deku realizes that it was a SOS call all along. Following up, saying to Aoyama why is he crying, asking it's not because he couldn't fulfill All For One's orders, which took back Deku to the time when Lady Nagant, who was a hero, being controlled by All For One. He stated that ex-hero Lady Nagant's mind was crushed, but not her spirit. With Deku getting more emotional, he states in his own point of view that no one should be labeled a villain just because they committed a crime, which it was controversial and quite a ballsy thing for him to say, which then continues with Deku pulling out his hand, telling Aoyama to take his hand, which did make Bakugo surprised with Deku lending a hand to the UA traitor. The emotional waterworks Deku to call to Aoyama as he lent his hand to him, giving the tear-dropping conclusion to the chapter with Deku saying to Aoyama, you can still become a hero, as the manga chapter ends there. Oh my goodness, what a glorifying chapter it was. Since bringing up this whole UA traitor thing again, the past few chapters believing it was Hagakure, only for Horikoshi the My Academia offer, pulling the 180 at his fans, believing it was Hagakure, while as the last chapter stated, and revealed that Yuga Aoyama is indeed a UA traitor. That being a given, with it being 100% confirmed, a fact. Let me just say this is Aoyama, and you can tell from this chapter, and especially from the last chapter, that Aoyama pleaded to his parents that he doesn't want to go through this anymore, of being a spy and backstabbing his friends, for getting information to his parents that will be intel for the villain All For One. And let's be honest here, it's because of his parents that he's in this predicament right now. Not only did Aoyama's parents make a deal with the devil, All For One, they put their son through this burden, knowing that if they were to fail to give information to All For One, they would die, which only adds on weight to Aoyama's shoulders and has to live through all that guilt of unintentionally backstabbing his friends so that his parents won't have to be killed. It is a lot of pressure on a kid, on a high schooler. I could only imagine how much it hurt him to continue this for so long, as he doesn't want the blood of his parents, blood on his hands due to his incompetence. I mean, seriously, this chapter can only be described as a roller coaster, and I hope by next chapter all this can be resolved, hoping that none of Aoyama's parents, and including himself, won't be disposed of by all four of himself, just like it happened to Lady Nagant. But I just have a feeling that by next chapter, I'm pretty sure someone is going to get the short end of the stick, which may end up to be Aoyama's parents. But honestly, only time could tell, as it's just speculation now. Until next week's new chapter, we'll see what's going to happen. But until then, I'm going to wrap this video up. Thanks for watching this video. And if you do, please give this video a like. And if you want, consider subscribing to my channel for more of my commentary on Macadamia. Also, follow my Twitter at AKIB down in the description below. See you soon on my next video. And later everyone, AKIB is leaving the building.